Interview.
Hey everyone, this is Randolph here. We're at GameTech 2011 being held at Luna Park, and we're talking to the boss of the Xbox 360 business in Australia and New Zealand, David Mclean. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Randolph. How are you?
Not bad. Look, I guess the big question on a lot of Xbox 360 users is Kinect voice. I mean, the E3 press conference was all about games using Kinect voice. When can we expect it in Australia?
It will be here by the end of the year. You know I'd love to give you a much tighter date, but I'm worried about not delivering on any promise. So what I will say is Kinect is scheduled to be in Australia by the end of this year.
Okay, that's great news. So that's a promise from you, right?
Yes, that's a promise from me. Not a specific date, but by the end of this year. Absolutely.
Okay, that's great. Now, I guess one of the big things you talked about inside the room was about connected experiences on the console. Obviously, you know, Foxtel is a big part of that. You launched Foxtel and Xbox 360 last year. Can you give us an update on how that service is going?
Yeah, we're really pleased with what's happened so far. We've had about 170,000 downloads of the app. And so people now connecting to the Foxtel on Xbox 360 experience. One of the things that's really excited us is that Telstra have announced that all content streamed or downloaded from the Xbox to Foxtel will be unmetered. So there'll be no charges for enjoying those experiences if you're a Telstra customer. And then we were happy to announce that we're now bringing the NRL and the AFL to Foxtel and Xbox 360 later this year. In fact, the 2012 season of AFL will have a whole bunch of live games available on Foxtel. So we're really building out that Foxtel experience on the Xbox. It's free to our customers in terms of their download charges from Telstra, and we're really excited about it.
So what sort of impact do you think the unmetering on Big Point will have on numbers?
Well, I think it's really significant because I think that that's a hindrance, people thinking about, you know, their download limits and their cap limits. So just removing that means that people will start to digest more content. Now, if I look at the experience in the US, for example, if you're using Netflix on an Xbox 360, you actually consume twice the amount of Netflix content that a standard Netflix subscriber uses. So if I try and take that analogy to Foxtel over here, my expectation will be that as people realize that there's no additional ISP costs, they'll start to consume a lot more of that great Foxtel content.
Now, I guess one of the key things from the E3 press conference of Microsoft this year was about, I guess, multimedia. So there was ESPN, UFC. Can you talk about how that sort of stuff will translate to Australia, David?
Yes, so we're obviously planning to bring as much of that content to Australia, and we're also planning to bring as much localized content to Australia as well. Now, YouTube's fairly ubiquitous, so bringing that to this market will be a great thing because that's a sort of global opportunity. But more and more of that type of content is what we want to bring to the box. I mean, our strategy there is really simple. The content that people care about, we want them to be able to experience that in a great way on the Xbox. That means two things: global content like YouTube, content that is more specialized like UFC, and then local content like Foxtel and the sports that we love and care about. All of those things on an Xbox 360. That's the kind of strategy that we'll continue on, and we'll have more announcements around that with more content offerings throughout the year.
What can you tell us about, I guess, the current numbers for Xbox 360 sales in Australia?
So we think we sold just over 1.3 million consoles in this market, and we're really happy about that. And sales are growing week on week, and we're really comfortable with where we are. And our strategy is still to end the year in the #1 position, and we're on track to do that.
Now, I guess Kinect was the big major release for you last year. In what way did that impact, I guess, the sales and the life cycle of the 360 here in this country?
Well, there were a couple of things about that, and it actually talks to the typical life cycle model because we put a new device out there that meant that people didn't have to go and buy a new console. So the need not to buy a new console but just to buy the device meant that we had to sell a significant number of those to be on track with the numbers that we wanted to get us to the #1 position in the market. I'm happy to say that we've done that, and Kinect has been a real pusher of that for us. And the second thing to say about that now is I wonder how much longer we'll talk about the releases of new consoles, because I actually think that the issue here is to make sure that you're releasing new experiences. And what we did with Kinect is released a ton of new experiences and more to come with voice and touch and gesture-based gaming. So we'll feel pretty good about where it is. We feel that we're now in the #1 position week on week, and we expect that to continue throughout the year as we launch new services, new games and new Kinect experiences, and we're really happy with where we are.
So speaking of new consoles, obviously the big news from your competitors at E3 was the new hardware that they're going to be releasing this year and sometime next year. How will that affect the Xbox 360 business, do you think?
I think there's a couple of things there. Sony have made some announcements about a mobile device. We've always said that that's a category that we're not going to move into with a specific handheld. Our solution for that is going to be Xbox Live on Windows phones. And we have some plans around what we want to see happen there, and we have some aggressive strategies for growth that we're looking for later on this year and beyond. So we're very happy with where we are in the mobile space. In terms of what Nintendo have done, Nintendo is a very innovative competitor in this market, and they've once again come out with something that's interesting and unusual. Our strategy still is the same. It's about creating experiences. We think the killer experience changer for us has been removing all controllers and having natural user interfaces, being voice, touch and gestures, as the key things to create new ways to play games and new ways to experience games and new ways to be more immersed in those experiences and the experiences around gaming with video and music and TV and what have you. So we feel that what we've done continues to be innovative, and we're more about making sure that every year we are creating new experiences. As long as we're doing that and they're experiences that matter to our customers, we think that we are in a good place to continue to be successful.
Okay, David, one last question. I guess one of the other big issues in the Australian industry right now is about game prices. With the dollar on parity with the US, a lot of people are starting to question, game, pricing here. What's Microsoft's position on, how games and consoles are priced in Australia compared to overseas?
Yeah, look, we support recommended retail pricing, and then our retail partners make decisions on the pricing that they want to use, and they take into account the fact that this is a large landmass. There's a lot of distribution costs. They have margin models to look after. They have bricks and mortar stores to support, and the cost of labour in this market is significantly higher. And there's some of the considerations that our retail partners take into account as they make their pricing. Look, we're supportive of our retail partners. We're also supportive of our consumers, and I think there is an argument to say that people now need to look more closely at where they believe they can get the right level of value in their purchases, which is their right, and they should absolutely do that. But the retailers in this market, it's no surprise to anyone that consumer sales are down. Retailing at the moment is very, very tight. Margins are shrinking. A lot of our retail partners are doing it quite tough, and that may have an impact on the pricing that they are positioning our product at the moment, and it's just something that we need to continue, I suppose, to understand.